Chain.
Hello and welcome back to Chain Productions, another podcast for you guys. I'm joined by Rob, another owner of the channel, and today we're going to be talking about UFOs. Yes, UFOs, that's a subject and a half. So, Rob has actually seen a fair amount of UFOs, and I felt that's why it was important to do this podcast, because I believe it's like something that he knows a fair bit about. In my opinion, he knows a fair bit about. So anyway, let's just get right into the encounters here. So Rob, take it away. What is it?
Well, you've got a few different types of UFOs. You've got your everyone thinks you're extraterrestrial, and not from here. Everyone just calls it ET. But the ones that a lot of people see and don't realise it are actually made by the government from secret black projects, such as Project Aurora and other projects, including Project Blue Book and other stuff back from the 80s and 50s. But there's a fair amount you see around. I've seen quite a few man-made, i.e. we use the term black triangle a lot because a lot of them are shaped like triangles. Some say some of them aren't UFOs even and they are. A fair few of them are very secret stealth aircraft that have the ability to go from the atmosphere, out atmosphere, so into space basically. And yeah, I've seen quite a fair few. Locally as well. Josh has also seen a few triangles he hasn't realised.
Yeah, to be honest, I've just seen it a couple of times, like a triangle in the sky, but there was no lights. There was no like big beam or whatever. It was just like a silhouette going through the sky, but it was like a full moon. So that's how I could see it. And I did think to myself like, yo, that's a bit fucking strange, like. But so you've actually seen it, and
Yep.
you give us a story, like.
So the one that I remember the most, and I would say I don't know, it sticks in my memory the most because it was so like perfectly shaped. But we go to a big air show in the UK called the Royal International Tattoo at Fairford, and we do a whole week camping there for the air show, which is a week long. And about, I'm going to say 10 o'clock, this is in the summer in July, so it gets dark quite late, and we've sort of, I'm going to say, it's not fully dark, but you've got like a sort of mix between light and darkness. So on the sort of horizon is light, and as it sort of graduates up darker and darker as
Yeah,
it goes
the
up.
type of lighting where headlights don't work, kind of thing. Yeah.
And it was a very sort of mystical light because it's sort of like, if you look straight up, it was pitch black. If you sort of look in front of you, it's still a bit light. And it's just the first time I ever had a fag. So and if you're not from the UK, fag means cigarette. So this is my first ever cigarette. And I remember I had this really bad nicotine rush, and it hit me like I was so dizzy. And I put my head back on this fence, and I look up, and what went over me was a sort of, I'm going to say the size of a articulated lorry or truck if you're not from the UK. And it was a sort of perfect, at the front was a triangle, and it sort of tapers down into almost like a star shape, and then sort of comes not to a direct point, but it's sort of like, if you think of how a star is, like when the kid draws a star, it's got a sort of tapered out edge, and it's a bit like that, and then it comes in, but not sharp. It's sort of like a gradual bend inwards and goes into a sort of roundish point. And you could see it weren't like a flat triangle either. It's a sort of like, if you look at the SR-71 Blackbird, which was another secret black project, it sort of resembles the shape of that, but a lot fatter. And it goes over me quite low. I'd say about the height of a house. Very low, over top of me. And there's no noise, there's no wind noise. It's just a perfect, smooth. It's not like a quick, like, dart. It's like a fast glide almost.
You say the height of a house, that's pretty low, man.
Yeah, like you could see everything on it. It was
in great detail, like.
I wouldn't say quite detailed because it was fast. It was quick, like.
So it could have been gone within like a blink of an eye. You could have blinked
a little bit slower than the blink of an eye, but
Yeah.
it was fast enough that you noticed it, but it was gone instantly, basically, from how fast it was going.
Flipping hell, man. That is.
And that's what made me do a lot of research into these secret black projects. And a great person to watch is Dr. Stephen Greer. And basically, he used to brief the US government on these secret black projects. And he now believes in uncovering the black projects and exposing what a lot of tax dollars are actually going on. Because these are all US government. I don't think we have any. I don't think we have the resources to do that. But the US certainly do. And everyone thinks Area 51 to do with aliens. It really ain't. It's actually, you wouldn't think it. It's all linked to Edwards Air Force Base.
Yeah, you'd be surprised actually, like what happens over here in the UK. I mean,
You get a lot.
there's
of them.
been there's been like crazy amounts of UFO sightings. In fact, like
A lot of
Winston
black triangles.
Churchill actually made a project, almost like Project Blue Book. For those of you that don't know what Project Blue Book is, it was a kind of like an operation to try and find out what these UFOs were. But the UK basically had the same kind of thing, which was like Winston Churchill just went, look, what the heck are these things? Because there's a lot of pilots during and after the war that were seeing these UFOs around, and during the war they thought it was Nazi technology. They were a bit freaked out by that. They were trying to find out what the heck that was. But then after the war they thought it was the communist technology, and they thought, no, actually this is Russia's doing. So they opened up this operation. I can't remember for the life of me what the operation is called, but it was definitely opened up. And for me, that just says to me, like, well, if Winston Churchill and these governments have opened up like these operations, these projects to try and find out what these UFOs are, it must hold some significant value. Like, to a skeptic, they go, oh, there's no such thing as UFOs. I don't believe in anything like that. There's no, not there. Rob, all you saw was a deer in the sky flying. Do you know what I mean? That they'll make up some kind of like bullshit thing or some excuse to try and make out. Yeah, it was a bird. Like, fucking hell, I know the difference between a fucking bird and like an unidentified flying fucking object.
I don't think a bird is the size of a truck.
But that is one of the things that people do as well. Like, they will try and form their way around. Like, I was mad into my Bigfoot researching, and that's a story for another time.
That's a podcast.
That's a podcast for another time. That is good old Bigfoot. But people would try and say to me in that respect, no, you haven't seen that. No, it was a deer, it was a squirrel. No, it was a pigeon. Like, fucking hell, I know the difference between a fucking pigeon and like a Bigfoot or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's people just don't. They're not out there with you. They didn't see it with you. So that's how I see it in my mind. I see, like, people can't comment on what you saw because they weren't there. Only you seen that thing. And but have you actually had any, like, let's say, alien encounters then? Like, have you seen something to do with, I don't know, like an alien outside the spacecraft, or is it literally only just UFOs you've seen?
I've seen something weird, and Matt was there with me, so I've got a second person to count me up.
Matt being Rob's brother, another owner of the channel, who is like the Runaway Train at the minute.
A bit of the Runaway Train, yeah. But no, it's where we used to be. We live. I'm not gonna say where we live, but where we live is a tower on a hill.
Yeah.
And where we used to go up there walking, because do I say what Matt does, or do I keep that a secret?
Well, it's entirely up to you, really. I mean,
we'll call it a special cigarette.
That's fine. I'm sure no one's gonna judge you.
And Matt used to, well, still does enjoy these special cigarettes, and basically we used to go up there at night because no one, would bother us, and no one used to be up there.
Yeah.
And we were on the way up there. We was a bit, because you have to walk up. There's a few paths to get to the hill with the tower, but the main one you can walk up and you can basically see, because there's a tower. There's all trees around the top of the tower, and these are really big pine trees, and you can sort of see under them quite, because this was sort of, again, when the sun It's gone down, but it's not fully dark yet. And basically, you could see like stuff moving, but it's almost not like something moving. It's like a sort of mirage. You get like a heat mirage.
Yeah.
It's sort of a bit like that, but sort of like person shaped moving around. And we was a bit like, we looked at each other because we both saw it, and we were both a bit like, do we continue to go up there? And we just went, fuck it. This is probably just our eyes fucking with us with the light. So we continue, we go up there, and there's a really weird atmosphere and feeling up there.
Like an energy kind of thing.
Yeah, and you could feel like it was static, like your whole, like, sort of how I am now, you got all these goosebumps out on you, and
Yeah.
every single hair on your body stood up, and you sort of feel like there's something, when something walks past you, and you can feel the gust walk past you.
Yeah.
And you would see this weird, like, almost mirage effect. And it's sort of like really disorientated, and it's a bit weird. And then we sort of got weirded out, so Matt quickly rushed his special cigarette, and we walked down. On the way down, I saw something in the corner of my eye, and I looked at it. And I didn't even say anything to Matt, I just sprinted off, and it was tiny, and I mean tiny. It was like, sort of like the size of a 2-year-old, not even that, like a 1-year-old, almost. It
Bloody hell.
Tiny, but stood up like a human. With its big fucking fat head. And his head was huge.
Was it like the stereotypical like alien that everyone describes? Was it different or?
A little bit. It was a little bit, but this had more facial details to it. So it sort of had like the big head with the big eyes, but it had like an actual nose. But it was like, the only way I can describe it is a Michael Jackson surgery nose. That's the only way I can describe it. But it didn't have a mouth.
Didn't have a mouth.
Didn't have a mouth.
That is interesting.
So, and I just see it. I just know when you see something and it terrifies you so much.
Yeah, like the fight or flight kind of thing.
And you sort of just freeze for a minute. You like, your heart just drops.
Yeah.
Your heart stops for a minute, and you're like, fuck. And it's sort of like deer in the headlights, I think they call it.
Yeah, that was the same sort of thing that I had when I spotted some cryptos in the woods.
And I just sat there and just stared at it for it felt like forever, but I knew it was less than a second.
Yeah.
But it felt like forever.
You got a good look at it then. Like...
Yeah, I stared at it. Like, my eyes, I saw the corner of my eyes, and my eye just locked to it, and I just stared at it, and I was like, I couldn't even breathe. That's how it was like. I was like, shit, and I just sprinted full speed.
Do you think because of like your autism, like you've got that photographic memory?
Yeah.
Like, you know, you've just sort of gone, I know what it is, I know what it looks like. Yeah.
But as soon as I saw the head, I knew exactly what the fuck that was. It's so implanted in today's society, and growing up with like all these alien movies and that image is printed into everyone's mind, and it only takes you to see it to instantly know what it is.
Yeah.
And I just sprint full fucking speed. Matt follows because he knows if I sprint off like that, he knows to follow.
Yeah.
Because we've seen some fucked up shit in the past. And Matt follows with me, and I get to bottom, and I say, I shit you fucking not, I saw a fucking alien.
I bet he was a bit like...
He was sat there confused. He was like, Rob, what the fuck? And I was like, trust me, mate, I know what I fucking saw. Why do you think I sprinted off?
Yeah. That is the... And
I was worried that I accidentally inhaled some of the smoke of what he was smoking. So we went back and looked.
A bit intoxicated kind of thing. Yeah,
we went back and looked. And
or under the influence, as they call it.
I'm looking around going, where the fuck is this thing? And then Matt just looks at the top, and he's just like frozen. And I say, Matt, what the fuck's wrong? And I look up at the top, and you can just see like all these like sort of mirage images of what I just saw standing at the top looking at us. And we just fucking leg it.
Yeah.
We literally legged it all the way back to ours, and when we got on ours, like, we both said to each other, don't fucking say this to anyone because they're going to think we're mentally insane.
Well, to be fair, when I was chatting to Matt, it was like back in 2020, lockdown just finished, you know, we were allowed back out kind of thing. And I'm sat at the pub, my local pub with him, and, you know, we start talking about UFOs because there was this plane actually overhead, and it just sort of like got the headlights on, and when you're looking directly at it, like you can see, like you can kind of sort of go, yeah, that's like a little bit like a UFO. And you know, he I made a joke and I said, "Oh, look, it's a UFO. Look, it's War of the Worlds." And he sort of looks over his shoulder, left and right, and he goes, "I'll tell you something now." And I knew, fucking hell, he's serious. And like, he like genuinely had seen something, and he was telling me like about all these little projects, and he reckons like that. And I believe this too, like military bases that are right out in the open, like
Yep.
next to main roads in towns, villages, that those types of things. He said that that's the type of place that he would expect to see like some UFO researching and
Well,
stuff like that, because
as
like it's
Mr.
in,
Stephen Greer said, it's hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
It's quite obvious it's hidden in plain sight.
that's it. Area 51, like they may have had some stuff there back in the day. They may have had some extraterrestrial stuff, but certainly not now.
Personally, as I see it, was Area 51 was originally built for the U2 spy plane.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason that base was built, was for the U2, because they had no runway long enough to test it.
Yeah, and it produced a stealth bomber as well.
No, that was Edwards.
I thought Area 51 produced a stealth bomber.
Area 51, it was built at Edwards at Northrop.
Yeah.
The hangar there, and it flew at night to 51. A lot of it was the prototype was built at 51. But the actual B2 today was built at Edwards, but the technology come from something else they have at Area 51.
Flipping hell.
But basically, Area 51, everyone thinks is an alien fucking base or whatever the fuck it ain't. It was never an alien base. I mean, the only reason it's got the nickname Alien Base is because it's a secret base.
Yeah.
And because when you looked at the incident that happened at Roswell back in the, well, I would say late 40s, when they took it to took it to Area 51 because it's only around the corner, and then everyone basically assumed then that they have aliens there, but it actually went off to where's the base? Can't remember the base now. It's in Ohio. Oh god, what's the base?
I bet viewers right now are just sat there screaming at her. It's this place. Yeah, I can't. I get the general gist, man. Like he's gonna have to Google it now. He's getting his phone out.
It's gonna bug me. It's gonna bug me.
But no, like obviously, like, God, I've kind of lost my tracks now a little bit. But to be quite honest, it wouldn't surprise me if there was these things out there. It wouldn't surprise me if the government knew about it. But for some people, it's really difficult to get their head around it. Like they can't compute. They can't compute with the idea of aliens.
Patterson.
There we go.
Went to Wright-Patterson, and that's where it's always been being researched.
There you go. But I was just saying then, like, some people can't compute with the idea of aliens. They can't compute with the idea that
we're the only ones in the galaxy.
That's what I was going to say next, actually. Some people actually believe that we are the only things in the entire universe. And it's like, how narrow-minded can you get? Like, if it's a cell... Hell, I believe, if it's even a fruit on another planet, that's an alien.
Well, something that reminds me of, and it was an interview someone once did with two of the Apollo astronauts from Apollo 11, which was the first one went to space, to the moon, and they did an interview with them, and when they first arrived, they were shocked. That's the reason why, back when it first happened on the, I won't say podcast, but on the live stream they did, when it was all broadcasted live, they went dark for a while. And the reason why is because they saw stuff they weren't expecting to see on the moon. And this podcast soon got deleted off YouTube. It was on there for a little bit, and that podcast I did with them soon got deleted.
Yeah.
And it's because he had live pictures of what they captured on the moon from a camera they didn't know he had.
Why do you think, though, that the government would hide it? Is it just to stop mass panic?
What they saw on the moon was basically an entire city, pretty much. Like, there were structures, buildings, not like buildings like what we know, but like sort of like how ancient structures were.
Iron skies. It's the Nazis. They went up there and built a base.
Not quite like that, but there was like there was sort of like a tower almost and stuff like that, which was not a natural structure. It was built by something intelligent.
Was it like built out of stuff from the moon?
Yeah,
or was it like
built out of stuff on the moon, metals and that they have. It was basically built by intelligent life on the moon. And when they landed, and they basically saw shit they weren't expecting existed. They thought it was all sci-fi and
Yeah.
sort of
But why
pop
do
culture.
you?
Um,
My Mac went dark. Then I got
but yeah, no,
well freaked.
they were talking about it, and they said when they landed, there were these weird, like, not discs, but these weird sort of, like, you could tell they were craft, and they were almost like balls, like spheres, and they would fly past you and all the time.
Why do you think like that the government would want to hide it though? Like,
I think it might be. There's another thing I want to get onto about later, but I got a feeling it's about like sort of mass panic and that type of thing. And but
yeah,
I know the real reason, but I'm going to save it for something we'll talk about in a little bit.
yeah. Well, should we take a quick break then, and we'll be right back with you guys to talk about some more UFOs and maybe some more creepy stories and encounters and all that. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break. But for you, it's going to be instantaneous. But for us, it's going to be a while. So anyway, talk to you guys in a sec. For the sake of this story, I'm just going to say it was a Friday night. I was literally going to the pub, and I wasn't legless at the pub. I just had a couple, maybe a little bit tipsy, but nothing that bad. So I was walking back, and where I live is basically right out in the sticks. It's not like, in a town or a city or in like some suburbs or
It's a proper like countryside village. Almost.
yeah, yeah. And I was walking back, just basically. Rob will know where I'm talking about, but I was walking up the estate up this way,
Yeah.
and I heard like what I thought was an air conditioner, but it was really loud. I remember stopping and going, "Fuck me, that's really loud!" Like whoever's got that air conditioning on is mad.
Mm.
And then I sort of was like, "But where the fuck is that coming from?" Like, so I fully had my senses. I know that unbelievers are gonna go, "No, no, 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 no. That was the alcohol. That was this. That was that." And I was hearing it inside, like, and it went and stopped, and it was quiet. And then it started up again, and it stopped, and it was quiet, and it was stuck in the same spot in the sky. Almost sounded like it was after sat there listening for a while, it sounded like it was almost like a plane after a while that was there and it wasn't. And it was there and it wasn't. And it was stuck in the same spot in the sky, probably about, what, a church's height above me, maybe two churches' heights above me. And I couldn't, like, figure out, like, what it was. And that, I believe, was something like UFO-y and weird, because I honestly could not put my finger on what the fuck that was. It startled me for days, but then I've also seen other things like a big bright like big light in the sky that sat there, and I'm because whenever I go outside for a smoke or just to have some decent like chill time outside, fucking I just sit there and look at the stars. Like, I'll sit there, look at the stars, and I'll see if I can see, like, Mars or Jupiter or whatever.
Uranus.
Uranus, of course. And I seen this, like, big, bright star, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, that's really glowing bright in the sky. And as I stared at it, it went and shot to the right-hand side. No, sorry, to the left-hand side. and just disappeared. It was moving faster than I could ever think anything could move. It just gone like that, and I was just so baffled at that. But to be quite honest, those are the two sort of like main things I've seen, experienced when it comes to UFOs. I can't dig out anything else really that springs to my mind.
I've got another one.
Go on then, Rob. Go on then. I thought you might.
It sounds similar to one you've had with Light. And we was on that same tower with the hill. Sorry, hill with a tower.
That tower, isn't it?
And basically, we were... Because where it looks, you can see what's called the Ridgeway. And it's basically a very big fucking ridge. It basically separates two counties, don't it? Effectively.
Yeah, I suppose it does, yeah.
But on it is it's a very sort of powerful place with energy. And next to it is a lot of... It's quite a powerful magnet. It's a sort of... You know what I'm on about, that place, Nick. They knew we live in Oxford, so I was going to say Cullum. You know the place near Cullum?
Yeah.
Where they've got the big, powerful magnet and all that stuff. And they're basically trying to make a power plant out of a magnet, effectively.
Uh-huh.
But you always see these weird lights, like what Josh just said, and they're always sort of like... You would just see them. They'll just appear out in the middle of nowhere. They're sort of orangey, reddish sort of light. And they'll sort of sit, sort of not on the horizon, but just a bit above the horizon, and they'll dance around. And it's not. And the thing is, so we go, oh, that's just a plane, but it's not a plane. There's no nav lights. There's no strobes. It's just a big fuck off orange, yellowish sort of light. And you would sort of be staring, and suddenly another one will appear. Then suddenly there'll be three of them moving around, and there'll be a fourth, and they'll pass each other and all that stuff. And yeah, it's just weird, and it's always over that one place as well. It's not like just, it's like this one place. It's always over there. So, but looking at the ridge, me and Matt was sitting there again having a special cigarette, and just off in front of us is these. They look like car lights, but they're not car lights. There's multiple.
I just want to interrupt there. Matt does the special cigarette, not Rob. I know viewers are going to instantly go, "Oh, well, you were high."
No,
you didn't see anything. You were high.
I was not high because I don't do that.
Yeah, no.
And basically, they look like, and it's not just us. There was other people up there, and all of us saw it. They were staring and going, "Oh, look at that!" And it reminds me of this one famous UFO incident that happened. I can't remember the fucking place now. It happened in the States, and basically it was like a sort of bunch of trees, and they're like car lights, but they're sort of like, they merge past each other. And it's weird, but it's just these like bright, white, yellowish sort of lights, and they sort of move around, merging each other in the trees on the ridgeway. And they're big lights, because I'm not gonna lie, it made a tree look like, I don't know, like a laptop. Like it was... It literally looked like someone, like, say the tree was a laptop and the light was the size of a TV. It looked like that. So it was a bit like, hang on a minute, something's not right here. This ain't a car, because this is way too big to be a car. Because I've been there on that exact bit, and them trees are huge. They're a good sort of, probably about 70-foot trees. Like they're tall pine trees.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And these lights were fucking huge, and there was loads of them. Probably like 20, maybe 30 of them merging each other.
But this is the thing, though. Like, again, I just want to kind of touch on the fact that the unbelievers, the people that do not believe in UFOs whatsoever, like, they will always try and find an excuse as to what it could be, like, try and find an explanation. And I was listening to this one podcast, and they were saying, like, that there was a radio recording of this military guy here in the UK. Can't remember where it was now. Really bad with names, but you're probably bound to hear it if you type in UFO UK encounters, documentary, whatever. It's bound to pop up. But basically, there was this guy in a woodland, and he said that he could see UFOs. Like, he was looking up, and he could see these lights going round and shining through the woods and all of that. And then, like, they said, "Oh yeah, but there's a lighthouse nearby," and he's like, look, it wasn't a lighthouse. Like, I know what the fuck a lighthouse looks like. No, you don't. No, you don't. It was a lighthouse. It's that. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Is that the one that was next to a US military base?
Yes, that's the one.
And it was in the woods.
That's
and
the
he
one.
went and saw it, and he had the voice recording
That's
of
the
what
one.
he saw. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And
You don't really know. Not many people know about this, but he got visited by two very weird men that night, and they basically paid him a lot of money to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, well, that's it. And again, that always brings up the question of why do they want to keep it such a secret? Like,
and they took his recording as well, and they destroyed it in front of him.
Well, how they got the voice recording, because they were playing the recording.
Because he was basically the guy who spotted it. He was a British guy working on it. It's sort of like how MOD police are, but back in the Cold War, we used to also have RAF regiment guards.
Yeah.
Used to guard US Air Force bases as well. And they used to walk the perimeter fences. And because he was security, used to keep a sort of voice recording unit on him in case he had to, not interrogate someone, but
it's somebody.
Yeah, and then it's then there's evidence. It's not a he said sort of.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So that you just start recording it because when I can take this as evidence, people don't think I'm insane then.
Yeah, and that is the thing.
The thing is, it's not like that he could just get his phone out and record because they weren't a thing back then. This was back in the early 80s.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what I mean as well. I want to touch on that while we're on that subject. Like, people say, oh, it's grainy footage. Oh, it's low quality. When they're looking at these recordings that are taken back in the 80s, and it's
not
like
that as well.
Unfortunately, they are fucking like low recordings.
And I would like to touch on that because as a photographer, at night, even modern day cameras struggle at night.
Yes, exactly.
And you got to think a technology from the 80s, which in the day is already shit.
Yeah.
It's already grainy. At night, it's even worse.
When you're trying to zoom in on something that is what? How high would you say? Like 10,000, 20,000 feet?
What?
Like a UFO standard in the sky, how high do you think they'd be? Like,
about 10,000.
Yeah. So,
as someone who does planes as well,
yeah,
about 10,000 feet.
Like, you're trying to zoom in 10,000 feet, and, you think that you can get a detailed piece of footage in the space of, like, 2 seconds. Like, you've got to be kidding.
Takes a while to focus.
You've got to be kidding yourself. You've got to be kidding yourself.
My modern DSLR struggles with that.
The thing is, like, as well, like, if someone can get a good picture of a plane and all that. Yes, because a plane moves at a certain speed, which is like physics, and it moves slowly.
Not only that,
you
as
can
well.
see it proper nice. But like when something's really high up in the sky, it's a blur. It's moving quickly. It's moving unnatural
at night as well.
It's going to be really hard to catch that on camera. And
I try. It's a struggle as well because I tried doing this at night with my modern DSLR. I tried photographing. Also, that's another good one actually. So that one place where me and my brother spotted some very weird stuff because you used to see triangles and stuff, like you could see the lights in the triangle formation, and we went up there to photograph this one night, and this still scares me and my brother to this day. I got some really good images. You could zoom in, you could see everything. The next morning, I woke up to go show my mum. Images aren't on my camera; they've been deleted off the camera.
What the fuck?
And the thing is, that's the on the camera. You gotta do is click on the camera, zoom in, and you can see it.
I've had something like that happen halfway through when I was recording. If we ever get Adam here, ask him about that because he was right next to me when that fucking shit happened. Sorry, my dog's just decided to walk in and join in on the fucking podcast right now.
Meg, what'd you say?
Fucking hey. That's what she says. Anyway, so basically, we were out and we were trying to film this like horror film because back in the day I used to have my own YouTube. We used to do found footage films, so that was what we was doing. Anyway, I was trying out the new night vision camera. So basically, I flicked on black and white, and it would show things that you couldn't really see.
Infrared.
Yeah, infrared, exactly. And I turned on this infrared. I'm out in the middle of a field, right out in the middle of a field. There is nothing here that could possibly reflect. At least I don't think. I turn on the infrared. I'm seeing like orbs all around me on this camera. And I said to Adam, I was like, check this out. It's reflecting something. And I turn it on, and like the dots were not in the same place that they were before. So they were like, they'd moved. So we switch it off, we put it back on again, they've moved again. And as I'm like, yo, I gotta get this on camera, this is weird. So I pressed film, and halfway through filming, it goes, like that. My camera goes beep, 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 and it says SD card unreadable. What the fuck? So I restart the camera, should have done it again, was filming for about 2 minutes, gone again. I was like, what the fuck? Like, and even Adam was like, yo, that's sketch. Like, that's really weird. Like, because we were filming before, no problem with the SD
these
camera.
orbs quite big?
They were a fair distance away. They were probably about what, like, maybe 200 meters away, maybe 100 meters away from us. Like,
And were they like pretty big on the camera?
yeah. They were
So
size that ball. Like,
so you got to think it's up close. Then they got to be big.
Yeah, they were fairly sizable, but they were like on the ground. They weren't up in the sky. They were on the ground.
That's even more fun.
But yeah, so they were on the ground, so that was like really weird. And off goes the dog. But that was really weird. Like, I can't really say that it was like UFOs. Could have been ghosts. But bless him, I work with someone, right, and I love him to pieces. Absolutely love him to pieces. But we'll sit there, we'll listen to some like UFO documentaries, that type of stuff, and he will just disregard anything. Like, he's like, no, it doesn't exist. And then I asked him the other day, I said, do you believe in life on other planets? He goes, no. I said, so you really think that we are the only living things in the entire universe? And he was like, well, yeah, because there's no proof. I was like, yeah, but dude, these planets are like light years away, and what's to say that there isn't some advanced race that is light years and light years away, the other side of the universe, that has found out the speed of light or teleportation or the usage of wormholes, because wormholes exist. Wormholes exist. Yes, it is still recording.
Yeah, it just stopped. I was like, is that still going?
Yeah, but yeah, wormholes exist.
Yep.
They like a black hole will suck things out of reality. A wormhole
pulls it through.
will literally just catapult you into a random place. So what's to say they haven't figured out wormholes? Why is it so hard for people to believe? Why is it so hard to wrap your head around it?
There's something I want to go into. It's a different subject. Sorry.
Oh, go on then.
But it's what I wanted to say earlier, and it's about the reason why I was saying about these black projects and all that stuff, and I think you said something about why do we have them?
Yeah.
And basically, the reason why, and this is my belief in why we have them, and that's because we want to do, and that's the reason we don't want to tell the public about it, because they want to use it as a false flag technology. Because the issue is the technology they've got is so advanced to what we have now. Like, if you look at what one of the black triangles is, and its name is the TR3B Aurora, or the Astra. There's multiple versions, and how it's powered is by literally a piece of plexiglass, pretty much, with holes cut in it, and how it's cut in, and with this sort of fuel source that we can't even, it's not even from this earth, and it basically can power, like, there's one little bit of plexiglass about, I don't know, the size of your laptop, could power an entire city.
No.
And the thing is, no one can exactly come out and say, "Oh, look what we've made all on our own."
I do.
An element that's not even on this planet.
I do suppose, actually, in all fairness, what, like, when the nuclear bomb was invented, and it was dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, like, the Russians and the communists, same fucking thing in my book. They got straight on that. They had to make theirs better, worse, more devastating. And unfortunately, to be honest, that is the type of world that we live in. It is always going to be a competitive between democracy and communism. It always will be. Like, and whether you want to agree with that or not, that's entirely up to you. But my belief is, like, 100%. Like, I just solely believe that if America was to come forward and say, yep, we've got UFOs in our possession, the fucking communists, Russians, and all the rest of them are gonna, like, launch their own UFO investigations, and if they haven't already, they probably have, and weaponize it and start causing devastation.
As I was saying, but the reason why, like, it's like the power plant for the TR3B, again, it runs with a piece of plexiglass, and it runs off an element called element 113.
Is that an element of this planet?
No. So that explains one reason why we got it. And two, how the fuck did we know how to make this power plant? And but this is the reason why I think they want to keep it a secret, because they can't say, oh look, we found this element on this Earth, when there's no way we could even find that on this Earth, because it's not from this Earth.
Yeah, completely different
and the
material.
technology to run it as well.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they want to keep it a secret, is because it's like Dr. Greer said, they want to use it to do a false flag attack with these sort of craft they've made from ET technology, and they want to use the technology. Then suddenly, it's a false flag attack, and they go, look at all this technology we've shot down from these UFOs. Look what we've taken from it.
Yeah.
Like, look, we can now power a fucking city from this tiny little bit of fucking glass, pretty much with holes in it, and element 113.
Yeah, free electric kind of thing. Doesn't cost a penny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean by, because their technology, like if you look at stuff like the F-35, the F-22 Raptor,
yeah,
that's Stone Age technology compared to what they actually already have. The
Yeah.
B-2 stealth bomber, that's ancient.
Well, again, it goes into the being more advanced. It's difficult for someone to comprehend, the speed of light, because it's so quick. It's bang. It's
But as you said, though,
there
with
kind of
these
thing.
with these false flag attack, if it does happen, which I hope it don't, because it will wipe out a lot. But if it does, look how more advanced our world will become in an instant flash.
Yeah.
Because they can be like, we've taken all this technology and look what we've made for ourselves.
But that is another question as well. Like, if you look at like the 15th century to the 17th century, we didn't really advance that much. It was only like, if you take, okay, let's go from World War Two. No, in fact, let's go from World War One.
I'll actually
look how much we've advanced.
I'm gonna say the 1850 onwards, because if you look at that, things change so much. Because it's like, if you look at ships, for instance, like if you look at HMS Warrior, the first steam-powered warship, ship to come around. All the ships were wooden, and suddenly there's this big fucking iron ship powered by steam.
Yeah,
that's where things started to progress forward, and everyone then caught on and copied.
I believe that's natural, because that was all used from but elements and stuff.
But
like
I think that's but that's where we started to get more that's where things started to change rapidly.
What I'm talking about is the invention of AI. How much wireless technology there is, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, freaking electric cars. I don't know what else is going to be invented.
I think there's now hydrogen cars and that as well.
Yeah, there's this massive push in all this technology, and it is just mind blowing, because it's 1 minute, if you think 60 years ago, all right, let's go 90 years ago, back in World War Two. You look at the cars, you look at technology then. They were still using letters. There was no such thing as a mobile phone, and now we're running around using wireless flipping signal, wireless charging, listening to Bluetooth through our wireless headphones
Josh,
with an AI.
If you think about it, this phone, what I've got in my hand now, if you look back to World War II, they would need a building to operate what this phone can do.
Yeah, and apparently it was less technology. No, sorry, it was more technology. No, oh no, you have to bear with me, people. Basically, the technology that's in that phone was the same kind of technology that landed us on the moon. It was something like that. It goes something like that. So, people, the saying. But that is the technology that's in our pockets all day, every day.
That was another subject I want to go on, was the moon and how it's been so covered up. If you look at pictures and stuff from the moon, there's so much blurred out, and that's not even blurred out. That's the actual film that's the actual pictures from the film on the moon. So how film cameras work, you got the roll, and obviously you get them processed, and it's them actual pictures of actually someone sat with an airbrush and they've had to paint that out, the picture from the stuff they've seen. And that's why if you look at so many pictures, they've been they look distorted, because there's stuff on the moon you aren't supposed to see, and they don't want you to see.
There is always that question: why did we not go back to the moon?
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
and it was in that podcast I was listening to about a year or two ago before it got deleted, and it was literally before Neil Armstrong passed away, because he realised they can't threaten me, they can't kill me, because guess what, I'm gonna die anyway. What matters? I've lived my life, I've done my life.
Yeah.
So he just come out and just told them everything. And it's like he said, the reason we didn't go back is because we were told, don't come back. They didn't want us there. And there were things that lived there. And they're the things that used to whiz around. He said, like, they used, when we first landed there, and we saw these weird structures, we were never told about them. When, like, these things, like, when he stepped out, like, they actually moved the camera a little bit, because you would see him whiz past you.
Well, that's it. And then people are going to go away now, they're going to Google this, and they're going to be like, oh, there's nothing on Google.
It's because it's all...
Duh, it's because it's fucking covered up, dick.
I went to show Matt this podcast, because he would have loved it. And this was only a week after watching it. This was when it got uploaded. It was literally 2 days uploaded when I watched it. A week later, it's gone. It's literally been taken off. There's no trace of it whatsoever.
Everything is
channel
monitored.
Got not permanently banned, but you got like a 2-week ban.
Yeah, everything. You can't even say UFO on the NASA live stream. If you say UFO or aliens in the NASA live stream,
well,
you will get banned.
Look at NASA's live streams, and there's some. I think there's like compilations on YouTube, like NASA's live stream fails.
Yeah.
And you see some really fucked up shit into their live streams. There's literally been a TR-3B spotted on their live stream just before they always cut it. And the worst one, and this was the one what scared me, is you see it on one of the spacewalks, and they didn't realise it, and they cut it just a bit too late. But there was this big, long fucking ship thing. It looked like something out of Star Wars.
Really?
I was like, what? Well,
that's it. Like, that type of stuff is out there.
The only thing I can describe it is like a really long B-2 Spirit, like Spirit stealth bomber. It's like someone's got a B-2 and they've enlarged it, like, longer. And it just you see it enter the visor, and then it sort of gets, like, halfway in, and then they cut it. They cut the live stream.
And that doesn't surprise me at all. Like,
I haven't been able to find that clip since, though.
No, but, like, that they monitor stuff so hard. Like, everything is just monitored there's crazy. Like, I bet you any money, even though we're not a big channel at the minute, this podcast probably isn't going to get that many views, but they'll still look at it.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll still look at it. They'll still be like, what are they talking about?
I mean, if you look at the fucking, like, NASA live stream, there's literally an entire fucking, like, it's like, when they do, like, the space programs, and they got, like, the fucking control rooms, they literally have a control room for a live stream, and it's literally the job of them people watching to literally cut it when something enters fucking screen.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
It's fucking bollocks.
And, like, there's been so many stories on UFOs and everything like that. It just, to me, it is just, if you said to me, I saw a UFO, or it was in the news, the UFO crashed, people like you and me are going to be like, yeah, we fucking knew it. People that have been skeptical, or not even skeptical, just straight narrow-minded, no, it doesn't exist, they're going to go bonkers. They're going to go loopy, because they're going to be like, oh my god, this doesn't compute. And they're going to fucking develop, like, mental health fucking shit. Do you know what I mean? They ain't going to be able to compute with it.
The media have also got, like, news people have also got UFOs wrong. Because if you look at, you probably remember it, when they showed that, when the Navy F-18s caught some kind of UFO on their FLIR cameras.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't actually a UFO. That's an F-18 under IR light. And I'll show Josh a picture of it, and you'll know what I mean.
Yeah, we're going to get this up. Unfortunately, we've only got this on audio platform at the minute, and not visual, because we haven't got the cameras or any of the equipment, and we're actually only using one microphone at the minute as well. So we're trying to do the best of a bad job, even though I don't think this is a bad job. No, I think we're doing good. We're making the best of what we've got, and we're trying. So you got to give us credit for that. But now we're going to draw it to probably a close in a minute, because I think we've gone on long enough. But to be quite honest, I'm going to put episode 1 of the this podcast, because we're bound to do a few more. Right, so Rob is actually just showing me.
That's what they saw. That's what they called as a UFO.
Uh-huh.
Now, if I show you, U.S. Navy.
We're really gonna have to get some cameras at some point.
Under Flare.
But yeah, I know that if you guys go away and wait, tell people what to Google so they know what we're actually seeing.
So basically, it was in the news a long time. Well, I was a long time ago, a few months ago. It was really big. It was about the U.S. Navy fighter jet somehow spotted a UFO under their flare T-pod, which is a targeting pod, and they tracked it. And basically, the UFO they see isn't a UFO. It's actually an F-18 under flare. Because you got to think, under flare, it's like infrared. You can see all the heat. You can see everything. And you got to think, a twin-engine fighter, that kicks out a lot of fucking heat. And it blurs out a camera.
Yeah.
Not like a normal camera, but like an infrared camera. It will blur it out.
Yeah.
And basically, what they saw is exactly an F-18 under flare camera. I've seen a video once of it, and that's literally what it is.
What? So they thought it was a UFO, but it wasn't. It was just.
It's literally just ACM training, and they just went, "Oh, it's a UFO." I'm like, "It's not." A UFO.
No, that's the other thing as well that I really want to touch on. Like, not everything that you see is real. Exactly. Like, there are hoaxes out there. There are bullshitters out there. But approach it with an open mind, even though if someone says, I've been abducted, just at least have an open mind about it. Don't just shut it down and just go, no, you didn't. No, you weren't. Because, I mean, what if they were? Like, what if they were? What if? It's all like a what if. I mean, but that's the other thing as well, because I would love to do in the future a podcast on Bigfoot. Because even though I live in the UK, I do have some Bigfoot stories, and I do have some stories where I've seen like cryptos in the woods and stuff like that, and just to quickly touch on that real quick. Sorry about that little cut off there. Yeah, just to touch on that real quick. So like, little intro into the Bigfoots and the cryptos in the woods. Basically, the stories had to come from somewhere. And again, that goes with the UFOs as well. The stories had to come from somewhere. It wasn't just some guy that was sat in the corner of his room, antisocial as fuck, and went, oh yeah, I'm going to start a trend now. These stories had to come from somewhere. Again, it's like these stories of cryptos, ogres, trolls, all that, monkey men in the woods. Do you know what I mean? Like, monkey men meaning, of course, Bigfoot. Don't think I'm being racist or something like that. But do you know what I mean? Like, they had to come from somewhere.
And another thing is it's not just like city people saying this. We live out in the sticks.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of people we know who are proper country people, I mean, like, they literally go out in the woods daily. And they live in the woods pretty much.
Yeah.
Ask what they've seen, and they'll pretty much say the same shit you've seen.
Yeah. Every person has got a story of something they have seen in the woods, whether it be a black panther in the UK to a troll or a fucking fairy in the woods or something. People have seen some stuff, and again, it goes straight to that thing. Oh, but it was probably a deer. Oh, it's probably a rabbit. Oh, it's a pigeon. Do you know what? Like, I think there's a difference between. Yeah, I think. I think that there's a difference between like a pigeon and the fucking Sasquatch. You know what I mean? There's a significant fucking difference there, and there is no way you could get that mixed up. No way in hell. But anyway, we will touch on that at a later date. But anyway, people, I hope you've enjoyed this little podcast. Let us know if it's something you enjoyed. Again, we're just starting out, so they're not like perfect podcasts. They will be better as time goes on. If there's any audio issues, I do apologise. Again, same excuse there. It's our first time. And yeah, Rob is just spinning on the office chair right now. But anyway, we will see you later. Hope you have a good one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share, give us a comment, let us know what you think. And yeah.
And I'll see you later, people.